welcome to the report series from Kevo Media. Um, we're going to center on politics primarily and a bit of your personal life that you were able to, put out there in the public. You've been in politics, though not held an elected position yet. And in Cross River State, people know that you've come out once or twice. I want to seek the people's mandate to lead the people of Cross River State. And it's been on another political platform. But here we see you in the NDC. What makes you feel that that is the right platform to achieve your goal as the governor of Cross River State?
The truth of the matter is that Nigeria's democracy is still in evolution. We do not have the kind of mature political parties that will become legacy parties for the country, where we would say, okay, these parties are going to go through a long period like we have in the United States of America, for instance, where the Republican and the Democratic Party has been there for centuries. So I believe that we're still in evolution. The PDP was the strongest party in Nigeria for many years since this republic came on. And in 2015, I was pioneer member of the APC, which took power in 2015 and is a ruling party now in the country. And now we have the NDC, and in a very short time, it has had huge interest from Nigerians, and a lot of membership, new members signed on to the party. And in a very short time, in between December and now, during the primaries, the party was able to field candidates in almost all constituencies in the whole country. So it's a Herculean achievement from the NDC. And the party has an ideological inclination that leans towards service to the people. Politics is about us being there to serve our people. It's not about us politicians. It's not about what we want. It's not about, what drives us. It's about what the people want. That's what politics should be about. And that is the vision of the NDC. And in a very short time, what the party has been able to achieve, there's no doubt that in this 2027 elections, the party is going to sweep the polls, both in Nigeria and Cross River.
Okay, and in 2023, when the presidential candidate of your party came forward, he came with this, sweeping whatever, the Peter Obi effect. And we saw candidates who were like motorcycle operators, in quote, that I don't intend to demean anybody, win elections, federal elections, and all of that. And some people are still saying that this is where a lot of people are hanging their balance on the Peter Obi effect. Is that what we're looking at in Cross River State in the end?
I don't think so, because the NDC had existed even before Peter Obi joined the party. At the point of formation, so many people were already in the party before Peter Obi came in. But with Peter Obi in, it's a huge asset for us because he's the most popular politician in the country. And we are very lucky as a political party to have him. Peter Obi is one of the most authentic politicians in the country because his life has been consistent over when he was a private citizen in business, when he became a governor in the banking sector, and so on and so forth. Now presidential candidate, and he vice presidential candidate first, later presidential candidate of the Labour Party, and now in the NDC. He's been very consistent, and in spite of the challenges he faced, setbacks of not having been elected, he didn't take a walk. He's been consistent. He's been, taking the same message forward, a message about a new Nigeria, creating a new Nigeria, something that I have always been talking about also. I call it a new politic. The level at which we practice politics in this country does not translate to the good of the people. So we need to elevate our politics to a platform where it would have a good impact on the people that we seek to govern.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned the fact that your party is more inclined to what people need, helping the people. Do you think that Cross Riverians have matured enough politically to think beyond major political parties like the PDP, the APC? Do you think that they will trust a new party like the NDC that they, in quote, relatively know, through you, in order to, get them what they need as dividends of democracy?
Yeah, from my personal experience, I've always belonged to political parties that were new. When I joined the AC and the Action Congress of Nigeria and contested elections in 2011, nobody believed that the party could make any impact. But if probably the elections had not been postponed from the 4th of April in that year, the story would have been completely different. And the APC too, when we started the APC in Cross River, nobody believed that the party could get any traction. But today, see what the party has become. The NDC is a party for the young people. The truth of the matter is that every person born after the Nigerian Civil War has been a very unfortunate Nigerian, because we came at the time of pain where the country did not make preparations for this generation. So you sometimes hear people tell you about the great old days where you could come out of school and there's a job waiting for you, a car and a home. All the stories we hear. And then people say they went to schools when they had their meal tickets they could eat in schools, invest all the first generation universities. So the country was much better prepared for young people who were going to schools. But after the war, the story changed. A lot of mismanagement happened in the country. So young people found themselves going to universities that were perennially on strikes. And then you come out of universities after the strikes, no jobs for you. And right now, it's gotten so bad that we're talking about unemployability, where a lot of people have been in the job market for so long that you have to retool and reskill them for the job market. So it's a generation of pain. And in a generation of pain, you cannot continue to play by the old rules. If you want something to change in the society, you can't continue to use failed systems, and you can't continue to support and fight for failed systems. Where you say, this is how we've always done it. It's only the ruling party. I take your mind back to 2023. You talked about the Labour Party in 2023. In Cross River State, the Labour Party, without politicians on ground, in large parts of the state, was able to win the presidential election. So, it's you can agree with me that if a party is old on you, it doesn't really matter. Our people can recognize authenticity. They can recognize a real idea of changing their circumstance when they see it. So we have lived a political life of authenticity over the years. We've stood by our principles and our ideals. There's something higher than incumbency in politics. Incumbency, you could hold an office, but for what period? For what reason? For what purpose? We want to practice purpose-driven politics. That's why you see what's happening in the NDC. It seems like the best of the North and the South is coming together to rescue the country. Okay, so we really don't have a crisis as such in the NDC. It's like in every political environment, people would agitate for different things at different times. It's only normal if you're used to being around the political space, because different people want different things. So at some point, all the opinions will converge. That's the reason why political parties are formed, to bring diverse opinions together for a particular purpose. But if it's about crisis, we don't have a crisis in the NDC in Cross River State.
Absolutely. Let's leave party a little bit and go to governance in Cross River State. Now, you are not an establishment candidate, so to speak. Yeah. You are coming from the private sector, successful businessman, relatively new to some people. What is your economic plan for Cross River State? Okay,
so for us, it's very important that we deliver what government should deliver. It's the first thing, because if government doesn't provide the necessary infrastructure, doesn't provide the necessary services and utilities that government should provide, you cannot begin to talk about development. So the basis is that it's unfortunate that in 2026 we're still talking about the basics, but it's the unfortunate reality. So we need to go back to getting our basics right. We need to go back to getting our infrastructure right. We need to go back to make sure that we get our Medicare facilities right down to the villages and to the local communities, because in our own thinking, every single community across the state matters. It's not about the city dwellers or the rural dwellers. It's for everybody. We need to have a comprehensive plan that brings services back as close enough. quality services from the government side to our people. That's the first part of it, which we need to give urgent attention. In the world now, what drives the world now is the knowledge economy. So if you want to be very smart about investing in your state and planning for the future, one of the areas is to invest in education. So we're talking about making sure that we upskill, upgrade our primary and tertiary facilities, and train the teachers and make sure that they're up to standard. Try to drive STEM, because with that we can drive tech. So we go back to the basics to build for the future. Then we need to make sure that to drive knowledge economy also, and to bring the youths in and give them tech skills, we need to have skill parks, we need to have tech parks, and then we need to have a robust plan on enterprise. We need to look at developing, helping, and supporting, giving them manifest support to organize themselves and create cottage industries. Yeah, so there are so many things that can be produced in the cottage industry. That's how China got developed. You don't need to build a massive factory. If you bring a group of well-trained and skilled people together, they can actually start a cottage industry. You know, if you go around Cross River, you see almost on every street corner, you see a church everywhere. And you sometimes, even during the daytime, you see young people there praying and singing. You know, while they're praying, you can also bring them together and do something we call tech enterprise, religious-based enterprise. So you can use those established institutions to build cottage industries. You can use them like an organizing way instead of going to generate or start creating new cooperative societies. That's already a way of gathering a group of young people together and start. So it shouldn't always begin with building a factory, because the government has no business in business. I am not a governor who is going to be building factories for the government. We are going to be encouraging young people to come together, upskill themselves, get the necessary training, and get the necessary funding to start cottage industries. So,
Yeah, one thing that people say that may work against candidates that are not from some parts of the state is the unwritten North-South agreement, the gentleman agreement that power rotates between North, Central, South of Cross River State in an unwritten manner, so to say. The last governor was from your Central district, and it is believed that ordinarily for unity and all of that, the next governor is from Cross River South and does 8 years. Does that bother you that you may be out of tune from that gentleman agreement, that unwritten code in Cross River State? Your ambition is not in line with that.
Yeah. Quite frankly, at the beginning of my journey, I was quite bothered by it. But when I saw the pain that our people go through, I have not really been a fan or a big supporter of the geography deciding who the leaders should be. But yes, it's a tradition, unwritten. But if you also check the history of our state from 1999, there's really never been a time where all political parties picked their candidates from the same area. In 1999, it was Governor Duke against, I think it was Makupo. In 2003, it was people from two different senatorial districts. I think probably the only election where we had candidates of both the two parties or the major parties from the same senatorial district was the 2015 election, where the immediate past governor emerged. But leaving that, I want us to come to the realization that, listen, each time a governorship goes to a particular zone, people in that zone jubilate that the governorship is in their zone. But our experience has been where, the government is more like appropriated as a personal family affair as against the zone. So does it still really make sense for us to keep shouting about this zone rather than to look at ourselves and say we are one people, we are one Cross River? Who is that person who knows what to do, who can come, who has the desire and has a passion to come and change the lives of our people for good? So it's not just about the where somebody comes. I don't see myself as being from north, south, east, or west of Cross River. I see myself as one Cross Riverian. My friends across everywhere, so I really don't see myself. I'm not a clannish person, and I don't see myself as being from the part of Cross River. I just see myself as a Cross Riverian.
So we're still speaking with the governorship candidate of the NDC in Cross River State, Mr. John Upan Odey. Nice to have you again.
Thank you.
Now, the last question was about geography and politics. Fine. They say government is a continuum, but we've had situations where projects that started from 1999, like the Tinapa Business Resort, they didn't see the light of the day, so to speak, or it hasn't developed to the extent where we would have all loved it to be. And the next governors in Italy and Moki came, had some projects, and we've seen that over time there have been some level of abandonment, that's the right word, of certain project policies. And here we are, the last government had a lot of massive projects he wanted to. And then we're not seeing that kind of push where we need to bring all of this together. Have you seen that? Would you say that that has been an issue across the state? And if you were to take the number of affairs in 2027, what would you do differently to ensure that some of these things don't go wasting, so to say?
Yeah, so the first thing we need to do is we need to take an audit of all the government investments that have been done over the years. And then we need to bring in professionals, to evaluate them. And then through a very publicized and international process, we transfer most of those assets into private hands. Because like I say, I don't believe that the business of government is the business of business. The business should belong to the business people, while government focuses on what its role should be to provide the necessary environment, to create opportunity, to open access to different sectors for its people, to provide information, and of course to provide basic services and make sure that we have up to standard infrastructure. That's the business of government. So the industrialization drive of the state is something that we are going to be working with the private sector to build public-private partnerships where they come in. We can give them these assets by different designs, But for key is that whoever is coming into the state to invest in any of the public government-owned assets must have the international experience. What we've been seeing is, you see an unknown company shows up from somewhere and you are told that they're going to concession one government asset or the other to a company that is not known, that doesn't have a track history in that industry. So it's like we keep signing those agreements and nothing really gets off the ground. So what we need to do now is to make sure that we get people who have the technical expertise to do these things that they want to do with the industries. Yeah. So the efforts that are being made at the national level to bring the opposition parties together, the purpose of the 2027 elections, I think it's a good idea, because even the APC itself, before it won elections, it built a big tent coalition that had the PDP, they then called a group that was called the New PDP, and different groups. And even right now in some states, they call coalitions, rainbow coalitions, and all sorts. So our major focus is for the people of Cross River to partner with us to take power from the APC. But we also welcome relationships with other political parties who agree with us that the basic reason why we're in politics is to uplift our people. If we agree and we can come to that agreement, why not? We're open to working with other politicians and other parties for the purpose of defeating the APC in Cross River State.
Politics in Nigeria is highly monetized. Of course, we're seeing from rerun elections, we're seeing off-cycle elections where money fly by, you see bags of rice, stuff like that. People think that when campaigns start, it's a season of, in quote, political giveaways. Does your party have the financial chest in order to compete with these people, word for word, naira for naira, campaign for campaign, visit the local government, and all of those resources being put together? We know that your presidential candidate is a very shrewd person economically. In fact, that is when they were coming up with Stingy Men Association and they give shishi, they made him grand patron. Do you see a monetized political setting like Nigeria favoring the NDC that is a bit shrewd financially?
The people have the options before them. If is to go after the money that belongs to them, that people are bringing back to them, or to go after a new Nigeria where everyone would have a better deal. And I think our people, they already have made up their minds. If you go around doing an opinion poll now of our voters, likely voters, you will get the feedback. Young people, speak to young people, they are tired. And at the beginning of this campaign, I said that we are tired of people who have so much ambition for themselves, but they don't have any ambition for the country that they seek to govern. We are tired of that. And I think that most of Nigeria is really tired. And I'm sure most of Cross River is really tired. And they want a new deal because they deserve a better deal.
And now, if you say, well, for instance, you go to the field, we're bringing a new deal, his name is John Upan Odey. What have you heard about him politically? And to what extent is it true or false that may be able to sway the mind of people or change them for or against you?
Well, I've not heard criticism from our people generally, but from the political class, I've heard criticisms like, I'm very, one directional. I want things done right. And a lot of people don't like people who want things to be done the right way. That's perhaps the only criticism I've heard in politics. But outside, I haven't had a problem with a political label. Well, doing the right thing is what I think our people should want. And we're in politics to get votes from the people. So if our people want us to do the right thing, they want a better society, they have a candidate that represents that in me. So what we have done is that we have been able to engage our people across and to find out what exactly the challenges are. You can talk about power in Bekwara. It's been a recurring theme of the challenges, and then infrastructure in some a lot of rural areas. In some places it's about water, and we have a general view of where the challenges are across the state. So we are also inclined to work with those communities to build solutions for themselves. And I must tell you that the reason why we are very, very big on fiscal discipline, where I keep saying that not a kobo of any local government funds will leave that local government out to anywhere else. We are going to make sure that we go by the law to make sure that every local government has control of their resources. Because when they do, there's that multiplier effect with local activities. When we were young, you would see local government had contractors, had businessmen. A lot of young people will graduate university. Some come back there to practice. Even lawyers, engineers were coming back to local governments, and they were doing well. But in today's world, the local governments are really not empowered. All their funding goes out of most of their funding immediately after paying salaries. Sometimes they don't even pay salaries. So it's like local governments don't exist. So we are going to make sure that we bring back that level of administration and make it very democratic so that our people will have a say in the government coming from the bottom upward. Yes, I mentioned earlier on that we're in a knowledge economy. So you cannot have too much awareness, too much education, too much training, too much learning and unlearning, relearning. This is a generation where you have to keep sending the message and directing the people that, listen, politics is not something that should be a full-time career. Yes, I am one of those people who think that outside politics, people should have other things they do, and it breaks my heart when sometimes I go on the social media space and I see our young people at each other's throats on account of politicians. And I just feel so sad that they are being used as cannon fodder for political fights and political battles. It used to be using them as cults and thugs and political thugs. Now it's they talk. Some of it has gone. Internecine wars have gone to the cyberspace. So I really wish that we should engage our people more, create more opportunity, expand our economy, so that more and more of them will find something to do, rather than idling away with politicians.
Okay, so as we wind down, campaigns are starting on the Saturday. Now, if you were in front of an audience of Goverance now, watching you, and you had 2 minutes to convince them why you should be the choice for 2027, the NDC to be the party to vote, what is going to be that central message you're sending to Goverance?
I'll tell our people that we need a fresh start. The journey we have come is not taking us anywhere. And it's like it's going to get worse if we don't stop the drift. I'll tell them that we need a fresh start. We are one people. We are one Cross River. We are one destiny. We need to come together and build for ourselves and for our children's children a great state, a prosperous state, leader in the Committee of States in the Federation of Nigeria. I have the conviction that we would win elections in Cross River State with the help of Cross Riverians, with their cooperation. This election is not about me, it's about them saying that we're tired of people whose ambition is only about themselves. This is someone who has come to drive the ambition of the people.
Look into the camera and say the last one and say something to Cross Riverians who are watching you right now.
So I'd first like to say thank you very much, Cable Media, for bringing me on your podcast. Cross Riverians, we are getting into the season. We are going to be coming to you in your communities, in the town halls, in all the communities, in the local government areas, and senatorial districts. I'll be coming there with our candidates. We have senatorial candidates in every senatorial district. We have a House of Representative candidates. We have a State House of Assembly candidates in each state, each of the 25 state constituencies. And I have no doubt that cooperating, working together, we are going to reimagine Cross River. We are going to take back our state. We are going to take back our communities for the benefit of ourselves, our families, our children, and our children's children. Thank you.